I don't want to hear it, man. All right. We're on cam, everybody. Watch
Exciting.
what you say. It is very exciting. It's exciting because it looks like your internet is finally working for the first time in 3 days. You have had worse internet on the Sweat and the Slate and all these other shows and hits than Kenny Ducey in the past year and a half, 2 years combined. It is bad. Even our producer today, Tom, said you went from A+ to an F-.
Wow.
Anyway, it's good to have you here, Geoff. Reid, you look like blown out there.
I was going to say, I feel like I'm very bright right now. I'm glowing.
I think because you put your phone up,
this.
like focus. Yeah, do that thing.
There we go.
Yeah, okay.
We'll fix it. We'll fix it in the break, commercial break. We'll fix it.
Okay. Well, it's good to have you here, Sweet Tea Fowler. You too, Geoff Ulrich. Welcome, everybody, to a Wednesday edition of the Slate just after, it's 5:15 Eastern time here. And today we are going to talk, you guys know the drill. We got the gorgeous golf gurus here. We had the CJ Cup to gossip about. So the tour is sticking around in Vegas for a second straight week. We are also going to take a gander at some of the best bets, maybe some DFS plays for Sunday as we've reached the midway point of the week. But first things first, Fowler, do you want to poke over to Thursday night? Because Tom Brady and that thumb that is injured, but he says he's had worse injuries. It looks like and sounds like he's going to be a go tomorrow night against the Eagles on the road. There's some dog really barking a lot outside my window, but we have a 6.5 point favorite, the Bucs on the road. So Geoff Ulrich, I'll start with you. How confident are you that the Bucs go on the road and cover? I mean, Eagles had a nice little comeback victory against the Panthers last week.
Yeah. Man, I'm fairly confident. I mean, the Bucs have defensively, they've given up some lapses in different spots, but the Eagles are scrappy. I mean, they're scrappy because they have Jalen Hurts at quarterback and he can definitely get there in garbage time. But I think that under a touchdown, man, like this Tampa Bay team with the 3 wide receiver sets, it's just too much. Like Philly like I said, they've been scrappy in spots, but when you put them up against the elite teams, like even Kansas City, even for all the points that Philly scored against Kansas City, they still covered because they scored like 40 plus. I see a similar scenario working out here. And let's not forget, I mean, Jalen Hurts could still throw in a stinker. Tampa Bay defense, I've kind of beat up on them. Yeah, they're not playing that good. They got a bad secondary, but they're still better than the Chiefs, right? So I think this line is actually a little bit too low as much as I like Jalen Hurts. I'm fairly confident here in Tampa Bay.
All right, Reid Fowler, any reason to believe that the Eagles can cover here against Brady and the Bucs? Brady went off for what? North of 400 yards?
Yeah.
It was at four touchdowns, I believe. Was it 5? Right? It was 5 touchdowns last week. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can say the Eagles with Jalen Hurts, right? Jalen Hurts is averaging, I believe, maybe 8.1 yards per attempt or per reception there. And they have a guy in Devonta Smith who's, I think, top 8, top 10, Geoff, in air yards, or like getting 40% of the team's targets, right? Like maybe not air yards. I think it's 40% of the team targets. And that's from Dwayne McFarland over at PFF. I think he tweeted that out along with other players as well. And so when you have a depleted secondary in Tampa Bay, and what Garion mentioned yesterday on the Slate with Steven and Glash is this caters towards more of a passing, right? The over is definitely in play, even though it's at 53 and actually getting even money at plus 100, right? Meaning if you bet 100, you make 100. So it's even money along with what you put in. So you net 200. This is a game where you can seeing it being a shootout. And if that's the case, it doesn't always necessarily mean it's going to be a close game because it's a shootout. But when you have a secondary that's playing as bad as Tampa's, it gives you the ability for that backdoor cover. And what you really like about this Tampa Bay side and why it's at 6.5 is that you can get a 6-point teaser with another team like Kansas City, right? Who's going up against Washington and tease both of those teams down to essentially half a point to win, right? That's basically saying, we think Tampa Bay is going to win. We think Kansas City is going to win. Let's tease them down, lay the minus 120. So what that means is you're paying 120 to win 100. And go from there, as opposed to trying to figure out, is Tom Brady's finger okay? And let's be honest here. If this guy could have 3 fingers and he'd still be the best quarterback, he is playing right now as the best quarterback. His efficiency is fantastic. Guy's scoring a ton of points for fantasy, and he's just been extremely efficient and elite, especially with the deep ball, especially getting it to Antonio Brown. Gronk not being there, this guy's still putting up 5 touchdowns. So that leads me towards Tampa Bay. But Philly, of course, you get Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith against this bad defense, pass defense, that is.
3 fingers or 6 fingers. Remember the guy from Princess Bride? Have you ever seen that?
Or like Scary Movie.
Oh, yeah, my germs. Yeah. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Tampa Bay enters this game, by the way, 5-1 ATS in their last 6. They do a pretty good job covering there. Geoff, you could see this going over easily, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Tampa plays at the fastest pace. I mean, they push teams towards the pass. And again, I mean, Philly, scrappy last week. The defense holds up pretty good. It's held up in spots. Weirdly enough, they've been good against certain spots against holding wide receivers down. But Tampa is just such a different beast. And they've got Antonio Brown literally running around like the Joker out there because teams have to respect Mike Evans on the outside. And again, I've mentioned like this same scenario against the Chiefs, man, where you can't they can cover one star, but they can't cover everyone. And Tyreek Hill just went nuts. I see a very similar situation working out here. And with the way Tampa Bay has just been sort of casually allowing points sometimes, hard to really love the under in any fashion. I know the total's gotten up to 53. I think maybe if it got to like over 54, you could start to think about it. But I see this one should be, again, Tampa they just push teams so quickly. They're playing at the fastest pace. The Tampa Bay overs continue to cash, and I kind of see a similar one here.
I feel like Leonard Fournette could end up being a good play showdown or DFS. And the only reason I say that is because I look at some of the numbers here. And the reason I think he could see a lot of work is you have the Eagles that rank 3rd against the pass, right? But 30th against the run. Bucks average, I know, 82 yards on the ground, which isn't fantastic. That's 26th in the league. But that, to me, has been more of a product of the passing game success. Would you say that as well, Reid, or disagree, agree here? Because I know he's averaging 4.5 yards per carry.
Well, yeah, and against this Philly defense, I think they're 19th coming into this game, and it's a short week. It's a short week. It's Tom Brady who's banged up. He's probably downplaying his injury right now. Leonard Fournette is playing like playoff Lenny. He's playing extremely efficient, and at the detriment of Jaguars fans who wanted this guy to be like he is right now. He just wasn't. And I think Leonard Fournette gets a bad rap because of what Jacksonville was, which was not a good team for someone like Leonard Fournette to thrive. Now, having said that, it's easy for a running back, or at least the situation is a lot easier when you got Antonio, when you're like the 5th option. Right? Like it's AB, it's Godwin, it's Gronk when he's healthy. It's Mike Evans is actually number 1. And then it's Leonard Fournette. So when you're the 4th option on this team, defenses probably think that's the case. And Fournette's a bruiser, man. And he's playing, and he's clearly the guy in this backfield. Ronald Jones is coming in to spell him just a little bit. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's someone that you could probably pencil in, like, again, a contrarian captain, the same like how we were playing the Rams game with Darrell Henderson. Right, last week. It's sort of the contrarian play that we think this is going to be a high scoring game. Doesn't mean that Uncle Lenny can't go off for a nice little run.
Definitely going under the radar how well Leonard Fournette is playing. Reid's right. Like he's kind of like the 5th wheel, but like he's taken over the main duties as the lead running back right now. He's catching passes and he's playing well. Yeah. I mean, people forget like his dude was like a top 10 pick, right? I mean, there's talent there. So really found his spot. I think you're kind of right on with saying like the passing is setting up the run for Fournette right now, and he's playing out perfectly. This is why people like Reid and I always say like passing the ball works. You don't necessarily run to set up the pass. The pass, the more pressure you put on, the more people have to drop. Anyways, it's working out very well for Fournette, and he looks great in this offense. So
look at Minnesota. Look at Minnesota this year. Minnesota and Zimmer has historically been a run team. And look at what they're doing. They're passing a lot more. And Minnesota is the team that looks pretty dang good right now, especially with Alexander Madison. So, sorry, go ahead, Emerson.
No, I was going to say, just going back to Fournette real quick, 19 receptions, and he's proving to be like more and more of a complete back. You've already referenced how he has taken over the backfield like he did in the playoffs last year, Reid. And I think what he is able to do, he helps that offense and makes the offense kind of less predictable than say they have pure power running back Ronald Jones back there, or you got Giovanni Bernard like in the game, who's really more of a pure receiver. So like I look at that showdown tomorrow night and I think, okay, 11-7 Fournette in the captain spot, like yay or nay there, Geoff?
Yeah, no, absolutely a yay. I think that, well, first of all, I think this is going to be a really fun showdown slate. I mean, this is jam-packed with points. There's tons of playable guys here. We just talked about Fournette. I think he's very viable as a captain spot. You've got Tampa Bay. I'm a huge implied team total. Whenever you get that and you get a guy who's now got stuck with main carries and catching as a passing back, perfect spot for a captain spot. It's going to be contrarian. Everybody is going to be targeting the wide receivers for Tampa. Go with Fournette. That's definitely a contrarian way to attack it. But I think Antonio Brown is equally as good value because of what I just said. Chris Godwin's a little bit banged up this week. So I think both those guys, they'll let you fit in Hurts and Brady. But Fournette's going to be the lower owned. I would be shocked if he was higher owned in the captain spot than Antonio Brown, just because of all the heat the Brown's going to get. It's Brady, it's passing, etc. So
yeah. Reid, who would you want to captain in the show tomorrow night? And once again, too, if you're watching, this season's been crazy on DraftKings because we're offering a million maker like every Thursday night, every Sunday. I think like every Monday night too. You have multiple shots a week to become a millionaire, and it's either from like $10, $15 to $20. Certainly, we're just giving it a shot.
When the NFL season ends and like these Millie Makers showdowns ends, where it's just going to be like, life's going to be boring, man. Like we're getting spoiled right now. So
yeah, we're going to be peasants again. But it's kind of crazy as we're bringing on some of these winners. A lot of these guys are just like regular Joes. They're like $20 in, and it's cool to talk to them about how life changing like the moment is for them and what they plan to do with the money, put their kids through college, all that fun stuff. But Sweet T Fowler, your captain of choice tomorrow night. Who's it going to be?
Boy, it is tough to go away from the pass catchers on the Bucks, right? I mean, Mike Evans. I feel like Mike Evans is getting 20 targets a game, guys. Like, even though you're seeing like 12, 10, 9, 6, 8, every single time there's a pivotal moment. And too bad you can't get fantasy points for these first downs when you need like a 3rd and long. It's been Mike Evans, especially with Gronk out. But even with Gronk in, Mike Evans has been putting up points. I mean, look at this game against Miami, 32.3. Against New England in a bad weather game, a Steve Buchanan special there, 14.5 DK fantasy points, 21.6, 24.5. And again, these are against defenses that, like Atlanta, New England, probably a strong defense, but the best defense that Tampa Bay has probably faced so far. You could argue Dallas too, where he didn't do much. But against Miami, eight targets, 6 receptions, 113 yards, and 2 touchdowns. If this guy's going to be putting up 2 touchdown type games, even though he's giving you 0 games, but he's still getting the yardage, Mike Evans is someone that's tough to not, because Gronk is going to be out. He's not going to be playing. Yeah. But in these high scoring games, you want to get some sort of variance because Tom Brady and Jalen Hurts, you see the 2 most expensive guys, just like philosophically and mentally, people are going to say, oh, high scoring game, get the guy who's going to distribute the ball to the most amount of people. Tom Brady, absolutely. But everybody's going to be thinking that. So Mike Evans is one guy that I'm honing in on. The other guy, like I mentioned, though, is Devonta Smith. Like Devonta Smith is someone that we all thought was going to be, too thin, too small to play wide receiver. Not true. You look at these rookie receivers now coming through. Jamar Chase, a bona fide wide receiver 1 right now. And Devonta Smith, look at his game logs. 10 targets, 8 targets, 6, 7, 8. This guy's getting opportunity. He's just not getting in the end zone. This guy finally puts it together. Like we saw Mandrews last week get into the end zone. That can easily happen. To win last week, on Monday, you needed Marquise Brown, you needed Mandrews, you needed Lamar Jackson, because of those spike weeks, those spike games. And Devonta Smith right now at what he's at 13-2 in the captain spot. I don't know how many people, guys, are going to play them, especially now with Goddard out. I think Devonta Smith is someone that we need to take a look at. I think Miles Sanders is getting a lot of talk. Like, oh, look at what he did last week. Maybe he's the guy. I think it's Devonta Smith.
All right, so you're not nervous at all about like Darius Slay seems like a pretty tough matchup against Mike Evans too, like in that corner.
Mike
spot.
Evans is 7'5".
I know. I will say this too: the Bucks move him around well. They
like
really
James,
do.
like James Conner in the red zone and in the end zone.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mike Evans.
Okay, I know
gets
exactly why you're
opportunities.
bringing that up. I know
Okay.
exactly why you're bringing him up.
Anyway, moving on.
I'll tell you what, and Jeff, I think you're the one who brought this up on the show last week, and I agreed with you on Sunday. I thought for sure it was a good spot for Cameron Brate with Gronk out. I thought Brate would get some looks. He completely crapped himself, and he just hasn't been. He hasn't been involved enough with Gronk on the shelf, because I feel like what the Bucs are doing is they're going to that 3 wide receiver set and 11 personnel all the time, and it doesn't take that Harvard education that Brate has to know that this guy could get you a 0.
Yeah, I'm going to retire the Cameron Brate take. Bruce Arians has never been a tight end guy. When he's had the weapons to spread it out 3 wide, the tight end's not going to see that much. And look, Gronk, realistically, even at this point in his career, is still kind of more of a wide receiver than a true tight end, right? So, Gronk's been getting some usage, but maybe Brate like shows up with like a spike week or something. But you still got OJ Howard, who like even still getting like 1 or 2 targets. It's honestly the tight end in Bruce Arians systems, when he has the receiving capabilities, it kind of just, it's not really worth chasing. If you are going in that price range, though, there is a guy I like. He's on the other team. His name is Quez Watkins. Outperforming Jalen Reagor. Again, this is the type of matchup where Philly's going to have some extra pass attempts. There's rumblings in Philly now that they're going to try and get him more involved. I mean, he's averaging like 17, 20 yards per catch. He's just a big playmaker for them, and he's been really good at converting targets. Like, he's getting throws downfield, but 3 for 3 last week. He had a little bit of off week against KC, but before that, he had converted every single target he had gotten. So I think you're going to see more Quez Watkins in this game. I haven't projected for 5 or more targets here. I don't know if he's probably. You really need the big play to captain him, but I think that's probably asking too much. It is one of those games, though, where we have so many studs. Brady, Hurts with the running, Brown. If you put a really cheap guy in the captain spot, that's the way you get them all in. So Quez is very boom or bust. But if you just, even as a flex, I think he's got a better floor than people realize in this game because of just what I went over. So.
Yeah, it's just I feel like the Eagles are kind of unable to support like multiple wide receivers just with the consistency or lack thereof of Hurts' passing. But like you said, you called it. I mean, he is boom or bust. So I mean, you got Hurts in there. I mean, he could be that one dude who I guess takes it to the house. I mean, Reid, you got a value play, someone a little cheaper you can squeeze in who could help you win the Millie Maker?
Yeah, I wouldn't be going towards Kenneth Gainwell or these guys down here, especially against Tampa Bay's run defense. It's so good, and they make teams pass. Yeah, I talked about Zach Ertz last time. I forget, maybe it was on this show, or maybe it was a Koff show, like on a show I do with Koff on Thursdays tomorrow, same time. Shameless plug, but it's a matter of, can he get in the end zone? Right. And when he does, you look at that Dallas game, he gets you 53-7, or 4 and a touchdown, 15.3. His captain's price is 4,800. And Zach Ertz is not the guy that decided that he used to be. And Jalen Hurts, he's not looking at Zach Ertz as much as a Carson Wentz did, right? Like, he's just not. If he needs to get out of trouble, he's running it. And that's why we like Jalen Hurts. But if I had to go value, I'd probably side with Jeff and go someone like a Quez Watkins, because that's what you need. You don't want like the 4 receptions, 50 yards and a touchdown. If you're going value, you want that pop game. And a guy like Quez Watkins can provide that. I do think, though, that Jalen Hurts, with what he's able to do with his legs, I mean, we kind of saw this with Lamar, so maybe this is recency bias for me. But look at his game logs, guys. Look at his fantasy points. In one game this season, he scored less than 23 or 24 DK fantasy points, and that was 21.8. Like, his rushing attempts are there, his touchdowns on the ground are there, he's passing it a ton, right? 37, 48, 39 in his last 3 attempts, or last 3 games, 3 attempts. It might just be like keeping it simple. Play Jalen Hurts in your captain spot because of what he can do with his legs, and like figure it out after that.
Yeah, I would much rather play Hurts than Brady, than pay up for Brady. Like, if I have to pick between one of them and the captain, absolutely. Reid's right. He's going to have extra touches. He runs so much. Just so many plays that Jalen Hurts runs that where he can get fantasy points. To me, that's the play there over Brady.
What about the Sunday main slate, dudes? Is there, we call it a little slate approved pick action. Is there a guy that you're 100% going to have in there, Sweet Tea?
I mean, I think this week, we're seeing, if I'm looking at like all the game logs, I think we have a lot of games over 50 points, right? Similar to last week, or is it maybe not?
Yeah. Well, hold on. Yeah, because
maybe
besides
I think there's
Thursday, Chiefs, Washington,
like
Chargers,
6.
Browns.
Ravens, Cowboys, Pats.
The big ones are on the primetime games, right? Buffalo, Tennessee is at 54, I think.
Dude, why is Cowboys Pat? Is that just because of the Cowboys?
Yeah.
Pats score like 10 points a game.
I mean, it's going to be hard for me to get away from this game, guys. Like Kansas City and Washington, these are two of the worst defenses in the NFL right now. And the narrative is there. Like the Kansas City Chiefs might score 35 points in the first half. Like they lost on primetime at home. They did not look good. Washington does not have the same defense as Buffalo, not even close. They're not putting pressure on the quarterback. And Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs are hearing it, right? New kid in town. Buffalo's the new king in the AFC. You're last in your division in the AFC West, yada, yada, yada. Patrick Mahomes is going to scorch the earth with the Washington football team. And on the bring back, too, I think you're definitely going to be able to play guys like Terry McLaurin, and some other players in this game, right? Like I would rather side with the Kansas City side, but at the same time, like even Darrell Williams is at $4,900. Like he's going to be chalk. So maybe this is more cash than GPP, but that's something that you have to consider in this game, especially if you want to be a little bit contrarian. Ricky Seals-Jones, that's one thing that I want to mention, that in these high scoring games where you have a lot of studs that like, the Terry McLaurins, Tyreek, Travis Kelce, the quarterbacks, the tight ends in these high scoring games is where you can find leverage. And RSJ, Ricky Seals-Jones, he played well last week instead of what's his face? Logan Thomas.
Oh, Logan Thomas. Yeah. I dropped him.
Right. 8 targets, 5 receptions, 41 yards. The guy was running a ton of routes.
No room for injuries in the Lotzia household.
Dude, we're savage. Just straight cutthroat. You're out of here.
You got to prove
Logan.
yourself to make Emerson starting lineup, especially in practice.
That's right.
But I think that's where you can gain leverage if you want, right? But I think this is going to be a high exposure game. I think Kansas City, Washington, I think you're going to have to. And other than that, I think Justin Herbert, Baltimore's defense is bad. It is bad. If you watch them on Monday, they let Carson Wentz do whatever he wanted, like whatever. I mean, these guys look like a top 5 offense, the Indianapolis Colts, and they're not. So Justin Herbert at 73, if you want to hit, I know I'm talking about pretty expensive guys. Yeah. The Baltimore defense is not good. So I like Herbert.
Yeah. Wentz is clearly getting more and more comfortable in that offense. Jeffrey, CJ71, our dude says your number one choice for quarterback on the NFL main slate. I know Fowler just mentioned a few of them. Who would you say is yours?
I mean, my number one overall play, I would just say is Lamar Jackson. I mean, I don't think you should overthink it. And look, Reid is right. I mean, the Baltimore defense is bad, but that's good for Lamar Jackson because he's going to touch the ball more. The Chargers play at a fast pace. They run a ton of plays. They're passing the ball a lot. The Cleveland and the Chargers both ran 68 plays last week. Could you imagine 68 snaps for Lamar Jackson? Like that it's just fantasy goldmine, right? So I'd say Jackson is the number one play. If you're looking for a cheaper option or just like some kind of pivot, I love the Bengals stack again. I mean, I'm just going to fall off a cliff with this. I know they are.
Is Burrow okay?
He's fine.
He got hit in the throat. People are making a big deal.
Oh yeah, here we go. He was listed as a full practice participant. That's why we have you doing this screen share.
I mean, I've read WebMD before 3 times, so I know what I'm talking about. But it was just like a thing or something. But he's fine.
A throat contusion? Is that what it was? It's like someone. Everyone has a friend that goes up and karate chops your throat.
I mean, if you're like me and you have young kids and your kid just headbutts you in the throat.
Yeah. Yes,
we don't have
okay, yeah. Sure. Yeah. It's just like Samir.
Oh don't you have friends that just come up from I just chop you in the neck? No.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
All right.
Oh.
I like Joe Burrow. Detroit allowing the most yards per attempt. They're just a big play machine, man. And look, probably my favorite play is Jamar Chase at 6,700. I am completely on this bandwagon. He's averaging 20 yards per catch.
He's unbelievable.
Like he is going to just be flying past these Detroit corners, man. And Joe Burrow is so accurate on his downfield throws right now. Oh, I foresee 2 long touchdowns for Jamar Chase in this game. And I think I don't know why people aren't getting on this. Like he's still projected for really low ownership. So I love that low owned stack there. But yeah, to answer that question straight up, it's got to be Lamar Jackson. He really does project as the best play for me. But yeah, again, if you don't want to pay up a QB,
look at his receptions.
Hey,
like the long receptions. 44, 42, 70, and 50. Like, come on, people.
And
like,
he has
Chase,
5 touchdowns through his first 5 NFL games.
He's the real deal. And
it is
only
remarkable.
David didn't score against his Jacksonville.
Yeah, you're damn right. Hey, can I just mention really quick, just because I have you two here, one is a Kirk Cousins stan, the other can't stand Kirk Cousins. The Vikings are 2-3, but they really have been much better than that. Better than their record suggests. Cousins, look at this, almost 70% completion rate, 1,400 passing yards, 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He seems like he could be a pretty good play against the Carolina defense, huh?
Yes, he can. Like, I think there's better plays. Like, trust me, there's better plays, I think, on the slate than Kirk Cousins for sure. The one thing that scares me off of this game is, like, will it be high enough? Because what we see with Kirk Cousins in these first 3 games, right, where we're talking about him as a guy that you have to put some respect on, is that these defenses are, bottom barrel defenses. Cincinnati is not bad. Arizona was like their run defense was bad. And so that opens up the pass, right? Like in Seattle, we know about Seattle. They're historically bad this year. But look at the defenses, and Detroit, Detroit's not a good defense, but that game was weird from the beginning. If you watch that game, it was just very, very weird. And a lot of people picked Minnesota in their Survivor League, including yours truly. And I thought we were going to lose that one. And Detroit obviously did this is their Achilles heel. They give up these last second field goals and drives. I would have to wait and see with Kirk Cousins. And to Jeff's credit, right, this is what happens in fantasy football. They go through ebbs and flows, right? Mountains and valleys, peaks and valleys. Unless you're Lamar Jackson. Unless you're these elite guys, they go through peaks and valleys. The Carolina defense isn't what we see Kirk Cousins struggle a lot is with pressure, right? With pressure. And I think when it's a clean pocket, Kirk Cousins is great. What Carolina can do with a guy like Brian, they can put some pressure on the quarterback. So that scares me a little bit. But boy, I mean, Justin Jefferson. We talk about Jamar Chase, right? Justin Jefferson last year he kind of paved the way for what Jamar Chase is doing right now. And I think this is a great spot for Justin Jefferson. Maybe not so much for Kirk Cousins, but if you're picking your receiver, it's got to correlate to your quarterback, right? So I don't mind it.
And I looked at it because I'm looking at Carolina, good defensively, as you mentioned, but I'm looking at some of these bad offenses they played, like the Jets, the Texans. I mean, the Saints, which are up and down. You don't really know what you're going to get out of the Eagles. And the one week that the Panthers squared off against a good offense, Dallas won 36-28 and Dak tossed 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking this is the week where if you're going to be a Kirk Cousins stan, like you have been all season long. I mean, Jeff, it's hard to argue. It's hard to argue against that. You take Cousins and his highly effective receiving tandem with Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen.
Allow me to retort, as Jules once said in Pulp Fiction. Look, I'm not sure why we're tooting Kirk Cousins' horn so much what he did last week. I mean, 8.1 yards per attempt, 275 yards against Detroit, a touchdown and interception, 19 points.
No, I'm looking ahead to this week, buddy. I'm looking for like a sleeper or value.
Living in the past here.
Damn, dude. Turn the page.
Reid is correct in liking Justin Jefferson. He is definitely up there with the elite wide receivers. I like targeting him too, but I think that when you look at the Carolina defense, they're like second in yards per attempt allowed. Like they did have that one stinker against Dallas, but I don't know. Are we putting Minnesota on the same tier? Maybe it's close, I guess. I would still side with Carolina here. I think if I was going to play someone from Minnesota, and I don't necessarily think playing Minnesota is like the worst or anything. They have very, very good upside plays. And Reed's right. If you're playing Jefferson, it's just like a natural thing to put Cousins, regardless of if you think Kirk Cousins is good or not. You're on my side or Reed's side. I think Dalvin Cook is just going to be the sneakier play here because no one's going to play him because he's 7,700 and he's still got that Q tag. He returned to practice this week, which was earlier than he practiced last week. Everyone's going to be on Madison. Dalvin Cook to me is the guy there. So if he gets healthier, I don't hate that play. I think I'm personally probably just going to be fading the Minnesota pass attack here, though. I'll give Carolina some respect. They've been really good outside of that one blip.
All right, producer Eamon has told us we have a 10-minute warning here. I do want to get to some golf really quick, but Reed, can you go back can you go to the Sunday main slate? You guys just want to give me like 2 games where you're going to target the spread. You like a team to cover, just a game that you like overall. Jeff, you there?
Oh yeah. Do you want me to go first? Sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I thought you said Reed's name. My bad. Okay. Yeah. I mean, look, this Rams line under 10.
Okay.
Just hammer the Rams, man. Like this Giants team is just, I mean, it's not, I don't even know whose fault it is at this point. It doesn't matter. They're so banged up. They were starting to look good with Saquon back in the lineup. That's gone. Daniel Jones, not practice, like the wide receiver crew. The Rams are just gonna, the only thing that scares you is the Rams just start to get too reliant on the run and they play at a slow pace, but the Rams have actually been playing at a fast pace with Matthew Stafford. So I don't think that's a concern this year as much was maybe last year and the year before in this spot. The Rams are completely fine under 10, in my opinion. -9.5. I'm surprised that line even dipped under 10. The other one that I really like is it's the Bengals. Sorry, we already talked about them. Because they're off my screen.
I think that Rams line too opened around like 6.5 or like 7, but because of all the injuries with the Giants, it's changed.
And you know what? But that's fine because let it come down a little bit. And people think, people is too much. It's not too much. It's it's not too much. The Rams are still a really good team. They're firing on all cylinders. Healthy. Henderson's healthy. I like the Bengals though, as you've already as I've already alluded to in this spot. I think Joe Burrow can get off here. Jamar Chase is just going to eat this secondary's lunch. I'd love it at -3, rather 3.5, but I'll even take it at -3.5. Lions. This is just this is a spot where I think the Bengals, even if they play a little bit slower pace, they should be able to just get up by a touchdown here and cruise home.
Emerson's doing some dog parenting,
it's ridiculous. She keeps eating her bed. Look at this crap. She's taking all the beautiful, comfortable stuffing out of her bed. Reed, what about you? Is there a game that you like the spread team to cover?
Consummate professional here. I love it. Multitasking. Got to do it. 21st century dog day. That's what happens here. I'm with Jeff here. The Rams are a clear-cut favorite. I'm actually looking at another LA team as why are they the underdogs, right? The Chargers at +2.5. That looks like the team to beat, right? That looks like the team to beat right now with how they're playing, just with what they're doing. That defense playing very, very well. Staley's got them playing well. Justin Herbert looks like a guy who's in complete control of this offense. And Mike Williams, boy, oh boy, man, Mike Williams, little hat tip to Mr. Ulrich for drafting Mike Williams, because this guy is the wide receiver, 3 or 1 right now in fantasy. I mean, this guy is amazing. He's doing amazing things. Austin Eckler is playing at an extremely efficient rate. Derwin James is getting like 1,000 tackles a game. He looks fantastic. So on a short week for the Ravens, the Chargers coming off that big win against the Browns, I don't think that they should be. I think it's more like a pick'em. It should be more like a pick'em. Right now you're getting points. So give me the Chargers. I talked about the Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers teasing those bad boys down, get into half a point just so they can win the game. But if not that tease, I do like the Chargers +2.5.
Yeah, and that win and cover last week too made the Chargers now 8-1 ATS over their last 9 games. Like Herbert just looks like a man possessed.
Well, and what people don't talk about it, but they made maybe the best head coach hiring in the last 2 years. It looks like. I mean, Staley is really even keeled. He's smart. He seems to have insight into the game theory side of it, which is when to go for it or not. And you look at the
I feel like he wasn't a big sexy name, so people were just like, okay. And wasn't he a defensive guy?
He was and that's the other thing. He was a defensive guy. So look
Yeah,
out,
like,
Justin
that's
Herbert.
just not
he's
sexy
going to kill
to
Justin
people.
Herbert. They're throwing it more than like almost any team in the league. And just to finish that up, because the Chargers are definitely in my top 5 too for bets. The Ravens, like, what they have like 3 wins where they probably should have lost the game. One being last week. The Chiefs game Mahomes should have closed that out. And then the long field goal against Detroit. This team isn't that good. Lamar's playing great. Nothing against Lamar Jackson, but like the Chargers are a better team. I agree 100%. They should not be underdogs, or at least not 2.5.
Dudes, we got about 5 minutes to go. Let's squeeze in some golf. Okay, let's talk about the CJ Cup really quick. You got the odds. Obviously, Dustin Johnson is the favorite here on the DK Sportsbook to win it this week. They're in Vegas. I know that Geoff has really enjoyed talking about the fact that this is a new stop on the PGA Tour, right? At least a new course. And Colin Morikawa, I believe, Geoff, is the only one who's a member there. So what kind of advantage does that give that man who has the it's like the third best odds?
Yeah, he gives him the advantage of being the most likely to blow up your lineups this week because the home course advantage never works out. And Reid will probably allude to this too. So I don't know. I mean, it's nice that he's played the course a ton. It is Colin Morikawa we're talking about. So obviously very elite player. He wasn't in good form coming into this though. And I think instead of just worrying about who's played the course, I would look at the form. Morikawa, maybe got it going during the Ryder Cup a bit, but I don't know how much you'd read into that or use that as a recent form. His strokes gained approach metrics were falling off quite a bit in the playoffs. And I'd worry about that a little bit. I mean, it's a no-cut event. Sure, maybe gets it going on the weekend, but for a guy you got to pay up for and a plus 1,600 in the odds, I'm looking elsewhere this week.
Okay, I mean, like he and Dustin Johnson reformed an incredible team there at Whistling Straits, 3-0-1. I mean, Dustin was 5-0, I think, overall. And should he be the favorite, you think, this week? It looks like he's coming back into form a little bit, right? After a little bit of a roller coaster campaign.
Yeah, this is a resort course. Like this is, well, any stretch, right? Even Fazio has mentioned in the interviews that he's done about this course that guys like Rory McIlroy, and he used his name specifically, so I don't know if he was, foreboding that Rory's in a good spot here, plus 16. Yeah. But he was saying that this is an easy course for these pros. 7,400 yards. It's at like 3,100 feet of elevation. They're going to be hitting their pitching wedges as far as you hit it, Emerson, $175. There you go. See, when you're polite, you accept the trade offer. No. He's going to be like, these guys are going to put birdies up in an absolute tear. Having said that, and I think, this is more of an industry play too. Xander at plus 12. He's someone that I think a lot of people are on. So maybe less DFS, more betting. If you look at the CJ Cup, right, it's been in South Korea at Nine Bridges. It's been at Shadow Creek, right, last year. 3 of the last 4, not counting Kokrak, their average odds are plus 850. Meaning that these guys who come in like at these short of odds are usually going to win a game or win a tournament like this, right? Kokrak was, I believe, 100-1 when he won, so he's the outlier. But to Geoff's point, I guess the antithesis of that is Kokrak, I believe, was a member or is a member at Shadow Creek, or he played there quite a bit. So he had experience there. I think that's more of the exception than the rule. But I agree with Morikawa. I think he comes in like 30th in strokes gained total over his last 24. So I'd be fading Morikawa and look elsewhere, a guy like Xander.
Yeah, and Schauffele's played extremely well, like at this time of year too, in the each of the past 3 seasons. It's kind of wild how we talk about what an incredible golfer he is, and then that California native, 0 wins, 3 runners up, and a mostly fantastic 2021. Did have the gold medal at the Olympics.
Yeah, since his last PGA Tour win, which was the TOC in 2019, guy's got 8 runner-up finishes. Like, it's bound to pop, right? Like, it's bound right? to pop for this guy. And guess what, everybody? He lives in Vegas. That's where he lives, right? He lives there. Morikawa lives there. I think Matt McNeely also calls Vegas his home. Kevin Na is another player. Like, we talked about it last week too, right? You want to get these guys to kind of know this type of landscape.
Yeah.
Like
the way around the strip, right?
There you go.
Geoff, any long shots before we skedaddle?
I'm more of just like betting a couple guys at the top this week. I mean, I kind of do like Rory. Obviously, I have to bet my guy Louis until he.
It's a no-cut event too. We should mention that to people
in 2025. Yeah, it is. It is a no-cut event. We talked about Aaron Wise. I definitely don't hate that idea of him kind of popping there at plus 6,000, playing really good golf. But oh man, looking down this one, I mean, I think if I was going to go, I mean, it's kind of like the bigger, the better, like taking a shot with a guy like Gary Woodland, just getting it together kind of intrigues me a little bit, but I'm honestly, this kind of feels like a week where I'm just not that interested in the underdogs. I want to take a couple of these high-end guys because it's a no-cut event. There's a lot of money at stake. And typically this is when like Justin Thomas comes out and shoots like 26 under, or Rory does something like that. And I think that's where your money is kind of better spent this week.
This could be a breakthrough moment for Wise. Like he's figuring out the flat stick a little bit, which is definitely dangerous for the rest of the field.
Really yeah.
Yeah, he's got the broomstick out, come back to the college days where he felt like he had to change to the short putter. And everyone's like, why'd you do that? He went back to the long stick. I think he broke it out the Northern Trust, and he's been putting a lot better. Somewhere in some guy in that range, though, Jeff, that I like is Talor Gooch, I believe is how you pronounce his name. No, Taylor Gooch.
Talor.
The Gooch man. Gooch Magooch.
Yeah,
6,500. This guy is playing well. He's playing well. And last year's at Shadow Creek, I think he was top 5, if I'm not mistaken. He's at the Fortinet Championship, the Fortnite. He's at
high upside.
Sorry, Fortnite. He was 4th. So, and he plays the Amex well, right? These desert courses, he plays well. So if you want to take a long shot, I'm with Jeff. Get these guys at shorter odds because this is the type of tournaments that they win. I like Taylor Gooch, but like guys like, look at him. Patrick Reed's at 65, Justin Rhodes at 6. I mean, there's some names down here that just throwing a couple of shekels on could land you a nice little payday.
Shillings, sir.
Right?
I don't hate the Justin Rose call this week. I mean,
Justin Rose,
dude,
flex on everyone, posting that picture in front of all of his trophies.
That top 10, that's why I'm 1-0. 1-0 when it comes to betting. He said, put him at top 10 finish at the PGA Championship. Bro had a great little Sunday round. Okay, we gotta skedaddle just like that. How much fun did you guys just have? That was ridiculous. That was amazing.
You know what would really punctuate this show?
No, this is it. All right. He wants me to trade James Conner for Chris Carson. Is bullying me through text. This is ridiculous and sending me disgusting pictures. All right, everybody, we got to get out of here. Jeff, I love you. Reid, I love you. Eamon, love you. Andrew on the 1s and 2s, love you. We got to go. Peace out.